Hello, I'm back again. I'm going to make another recording here. Let me set the little timer over here, 'cause I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to talk a whole long time. I'll talk about 15 minutes. But anyway, I remember something that the last video I couldn't think of the name of the lake where I had talking about my sister was down and bought a house down there. It's Cedar Creek Lake. I don't know why I couldn't think of that name, 'cause I built a house down there on that lake after my brother and I started building it. That's a big story in itself. But I ain't got time to talk about that right now. I'll talk about it later. I wanted to talk about something else here. Right now, I was thinking about. I remember one time when my dad. I was just a big kid, and my dad took me to I don't know if this thing's recording or not. I guess it is. It's not. The thing is not going across here, and I don't know why it ain't. It says it's recording. Anyway, my dad took me on his milk route. See, my dad was a dairy farmer, and he sold raw milk to stores. He had an old 37 panel Plymouth. I believe it was a Plymouth. I don't know what you call the darn thing. It wasn't no station wagon. It was kind of like a covered up backward truck. I don't know what they called them things back in them days. But anyway, it had a big sign on the side of that thing that says S.W. Davis, Grade A Raw Milk, Permit Number 2. You know, he had the second permit in Dallas to sell raw milk. And of course, they put him out of business. You know, when they just outlawed, they wouldn't let you. They passed a bill where they wouldn't let you sell raw milk to the general public. But I was raised on it. You know, I drank it until I was probably about 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. I don't know, somewhere in there. Of course, I left the farm when I was about. My brother took the farm over, and I had to go get me a job. And said there wasn't enough money in that dairy farm for three of us to work in it. So I knew my dad was going to give it to my brother. So I left and went to town. Well, I didn't go to town. I stayed at my father and mother's home till I got married, you know. And anyway, but this is about something else. I didn't mean to talk about that right off the bat, but anyway, I was talking about the milk route. My dad took me on a milk route with him once, and I remember it was over in Oak Cliff, and of course he had the companies. There were big milk companies even back then, and they had the biggest space. These milk companies like Oak Farms and Tennessee Dairies back then, and Metzger's, and you know. I worked for Metzger's Dairy one time. The reason I mentioned them, but let's go back to me going over there. I was just a little bitty kid when he took me in that panel. I called it a panel truck. I guess that's what it is. That 37 Plymouth panel truck, and he was delivering this milk over in Oak Cliff to this grocery store. And I went in there with him, and my dad had one row of milk. And there was another dairy farmer that had a row of milk, and then there's the big creamies and things like Tennessee Dairies and Oak Farms and Metzger's. They were the ones that had the big display where others displayed all their milk. We just had one row. My dad just had one row of his milk. It was raw milk. Anyway, when we went into this store, there was another raw milk man that he had a row. Well, he had pushed all my daddy's milk to the back, and he brought his milk to the front. He had two rows. So my dad straightened it all out, and I was sitting there watching him. And he didn't get to sell him any milk because none of his was up front where anybody could buy it. But anyway, he straightened it all out. He had one row, and then this other guy, he left him another row. And I followed my dad out. Of course, I was just a little kid. I was right on my dad's heel. There I was, a old country boy out there where there's a lot of people in the store, and this is one of the first times my dad had ever took me with him on his milk route, and I didn't know there was so many people in the world. But anyway, we got outside the store, and turned out when we pulled up, we were the only milk wagon that was in their lot. But when we came outside, this other milkman had pulled up on the other side of my dad, and he was standing out there by his car, his truck. He had a little truck or whatever it was that he was delivering his milk in. It was somewhere similar. I don't know what it was, but it was similar to something like what my dad had. Anyway, my dad walked up to him. Oh my God. He knocked the living devil out of that dude, boy, and he hit the ground. And then my old man read him the riot act, and I ain't gonna tell you what he said to him, because I don't think I would probably get fined for getting off. My dad could cuss a blue streak, boy. He read him the riot act. Boy, I'm gonna let you know the fact. My old man was oh my gosh. Scared me to death. Oh my God, But oh boy, I'll never forget that long as I live, Unbelievable. Anyway, the guy never did get up. When we left, he was still laying on the floor holding his face. I don't know whether he broke his jaw or nose or what, but he didn't look too happy. My dad just he read him the riot act, told him if he ever put his milk in front of my dad's milk again, that's just a little sample of what you're gonna happen to you. Oh Lord, folks, I've got to tell you that you ain't gonna believe what I went through growing up around my old man. God, I ain't even started. That was just a little extracurricular activity. That ain't the main feature. Boy, you ain't gonna believe all this. This stuff is true. Oh Lord, I see these westerns where these bank robbers and these bad cowboys, they go into this town, they shoot up the town, they kill everybody, and they rob the bank and treat everybody bad, and they wear these big long, of course they always put them all in big long coats so they look tough, and then they ride out of town, and they go on to a farm, and they always, on these shows, and these cowboy pictures and everything, these farmers are always sitting there shaking in their boots, and they're scared to death. That's the biggest lie you ever heard in the world. Let me tell you something. The reality of this situation is, them bank robbers, they wouldn't get within 100 yards of that farmer because they'd be scared to death of him. Because he would shoot them in a... Oh, Lord of mercy. TV is such a lie. Western films are just a joke. I mean, there was an old farmer down in the back of our place. I remember his name was Ollie, and he shot a bunch of folks down there that come into his place. We heard about it. He had a bunch of pecan trees, and people were always going in there stealing his pecans, and he got sick and tired of it, and he just shot a few of them. Oh Lord, and they talk about them farmers being mealy-mouthed. Ain't no way. They're the toughest folks you ever. In the first darn place, farming is a tough job. I mean, you city suckers, you talk about going to work and you sit on your behind and you punch a calculator or whatever you punch, and there's farmers out there, man, he's sweating. It's 110 degrees, and he's out there plowing and hauling hay and sweating. He don't even have a dry piece of cloth on him. His pants are wet and his shirt's wet, and you see him with a big rag around the neck. I know I used to wear them when I'd help my dad, bale hay or something. I'd wear a big old. He'd always give me an old big flour sacks to wrap around my neck so that I could wipe the sweat off my face and everything, you know. but anyway, getting back to this milk thing, when my dad would do something like that, he didn't ever seem to get excited or something. He just knocked the devil out of that old guy, and he just stood there and he read him the riot act. And of course, I'm standing beside him. I don't know what the thing. I just got out of diapers, you know. I've had my first pair of long pants on. I didn't know what to think about this outside world. I was always sheltered there at home with my mom. All of a sudden I went with my dad, and boy, I got into a whole new world. Lord have mercy. Lord, I didn't know what to think. I know I didn't say anything. I got up in the front seat of that old panel Plymouth, you know, and I didn't say nothing. The rest of the day, he made a few more stops, and I went in with him. But I thought, oh Lord, is he going to do it again somewhere? I sure hope I sure hope wherever we go, you know, that milk's in there right, and he don't have to knock the crap out of somebody again, you know. Oh Lord, I could pardon me, I had to cough there, but I could sit here and I could make 100 of these things talking about following my old dad around. I got a big one to tell you one of these days. I ain't gonna get to it today because it's later on in my life, but I had to rescue my dad out of a gun battle down at our place one time. I'll tell you about it one of these days. I come home from work and heard all this shooting going on down the... I knew that farm like the back of my hand. God, I'd been on it since I was a kid, since I was a teeny-weeny little thing. You know? I knew every inch on it. And when I heard these shots going off, I knew exactly where it was. I ain't gonna get to it today, though. I don't want to talk about that today. I'll talk about something else. That's a good one. That'd be good. You get a big kick out of that one. I don't know. You know, I think I've lived an extraordinarily life. I don't know whether you call it exciting, deciding. I don't know what the word would be. I mean, God, I don't know how we stayed out of jail. God, you do something like my dad done now, and you'd be in jail. You know? I mean, oh, I could tell you, there's so much that I got to say here. I have to sit and rest up and think about it for a while. I know if anybody, I don't want any atheists reading this. If you're an atheist, stay the hell out of this thing. Don't read none of my. I ain't got nothing to say to you people. You know, you go do your thing. I watch your comments on some of these other folks that make these things, and I just don't care to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Stay off my. Don't listen. Don't stay away from me. You know. I hope you're rotten Hades. You scum, low class. What's wrong with this country? We had a good country. You people showed up. You know, I'm just no he-seed country boy. I'm damn proud of it, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't have it any other way. But I'm down getting to where my mind don't work too good no more, and I'm sure I'm sure that people gonna make a big heyday out of that. Oh yeah, no wonder the guy's nuts, you know. And, yeah, I am. I admit it. I don't give a damn what you think. I don't care what you think. You call me anything you want to. But I'll guarantee you one thing. You ain't going to have as much fun in life. You people go through life with a scowl on your face. And you just, one day after another, you just have one sad day. And I've just had, every day has been a beautiful day. You know, even the days that my dad had that gunfight, you know. I had 2 gunfights. There's another one. I got 2 or 3 of them I can talk about, boy. I don't know how in the world we ever made it. I don't know how my dad ever got through life without getting shot. I don't know how I got through it without getting shot, because I seemed to be always with him, and bullets whizzing everywhere. You know? Lord have mercy, how I ever made it. Of course, there's one I got to tell you. I got to tell you about some of the stuff I did when I was in grade school. I'm trying to do this thing where I start out when I was young and work it till I got old. Of course, I got to quit. And I limit these things to about 15 minutes, so I'm going to stop this one right here.